So I'm recording with my Panasonic S5 Mark II with the new LUMIX Lab app. I just updated the firmware, not actually today, but a couple days ago. So there was an update for the S9, the S5II, S5IIX, and the G9. So the latest LUMIX cameras from Panasonic. And yeah, now I can control my Panasonic S5 Mark II with the LUMIX Lab app. There's a lot of cool features that also came out on this firmware update that were initially introduced into the Panasonic S9. So those have carried over now into these other bodies. So one of the big features is also the framing composition feature, where you can set up different frame markers for different aspect ratios. So like right now I'm shooting in open gate and I can set up the frame markers to 4:3. So, for that kind of vintage old school look. And actually I can kind of show you right here in the, focus is a little off there. You can see there in the LUMIX Lab app that my frame markers are enabled. I've got them set to blue, so you can change the colors of the frame markers too. And in the center, there's the 16:9 or 9:16 aspect ratio. So for those people that want to be able to do vertical content for TikToks, Reels, Shorts, whatever, you can do that with these frame markers. It's kind of a small quality of life feature when shooting an open gate. They also introduce the ability to record in MP4 light codec, or the MP4 light codec, I should say. So that's like a lower resolution. Well, I shouldn't say lower resolution because it still is shooting in 4K. I believe it's 4K in this like codec that is easier to transfer files to and from your camera to the LUMIX Lab app on your phone. So if you need to make a quick social media or content for the internet, you can do that in a very expedited. Oh, that was a weak snap. Hold on, like that. Yeah. So you can use the MP4 light codec for that. I personally don't. I should say actually it actually would be useful for me because I'm making these YouTube videos, and personally I don't want to shoot in 6K all the time, 6K open gate, because the file sizes are pretty massive. And again, I'm shooting on the S5 Mark II, not the S5 Mark IIX. So the codecs in that camera, they're even bigger file sizes that you can record in. But with the MP4 Lite, the only thing that I don't really like about that codec is that you don't get lossless audio. And I'm a little bit of an audio snob, which is kind of ridiculous because I'm recording this for YouTube, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I am recording, as I have in a number of my videos, with my Sennheiser MKH50 connected into the S5 Mark II. So you're hearing that audio as well. And yeah, this is a cool little update. They also introduced this like live zoom feature. I could be incorrect about the name, but I haven't actually gotten a chance to test it because I don't really have any zoom lenses for my S5 Mark II. I only have the 35mm f1.8 and the 18mm f1.8. But apparently what you can do in that feature is you can actually zoom in with the lens. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I can do it on a prime lens, but it was disabled when I tried to go select it. But what you can do is you can go from the full frame aspect ratio, or not aspect ratio, but the full frame of the sensor, and then when you zoom, you can actually pop into or punch into APS-C mode. So you're basically transitioning from full frame to APS-C. So it's not like a true zoom, but think about it in the context of like if you had a 24-105 or 24-70, and you wanted to rack that zoom, you would actually be able to extend it further during the zoom. So you're getting much larger focal length range. So that's a really cool feature that they included in this update. It was, from what I understand, originally on the S9 as well. But yeah, just a couple of cool little updates. Oh, another cool thing that they did do is they added some autofocus capabilities. I haven't played around with them too much, but yeah, they did update the autofocus capabilities on the S5II and the S5IIX. I've thought they've been I mean, the cameras have been pretty good, at least, well, my S5II, I should say, with the autofocus. Now, I'm not in any, difficult scenario here. Obviously, this is just in my bedroom, but it's really cool to see that Lumix is rolling out these updates 2 years later after I've had the S5 Mark II for, 2 years now. I know that 2 years isn't that long in camera life expectancy, but it is really cool. I mean, some competitors don't really ever release firmware updates, and if they do, they're not as feature-rich as some of these firmware updates that we've gotten over the past 2 years with the LUMIX S5II. But having said all that, I have been hearing, and again, I'm not going to go make another video like I made before with the S1H Mark II. That was like a year and a half ago, and I was saying that it was probably going to come out relatively soon, and that was completely wrong. That being said, there has been a lot of speculation that an S1R Mark II could be announced later this month. I am not saying that that's likely to happen because I learned my lesson. However, I got to be honest with you guys, I don't legitimately see myself updating my camera anytime soon, just because, like I said before in other videos, I'm an enthusiast. The S5 Mark II is way more than enough for me. Honestly, I could get away with shooting with my phone if I really wanted to. I'm not really doing this professionally. This is more for fun, and like I said, I'm an enthusiast. I really prefer focusing on audio quality. I think I would rather, if it was up to me, I'd rather have a high-end microphone in my iPhone at this stage than a high-end camera and a cheap microphone. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of crazy. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way. I just think camera technology in smartphones has come a very, very long way. Of course, a full-frame camera like the S5 Mark II is going to smoke this, but still, it is really cool. Like I said, I know I'm kind of going off on two different topics here, but it is really cool that they did give us some of these features on the S5 Mark II. And yeah, I think I'm going to be totally fine with this camera for the next, honestly, I would be fine with this camera for the next several years. If I do get another camera in the future, I'm even debating on maybe picking up a second S5 Mark II, or even getting a cheaper, maybe an APS-C camera from another brand like maybe Canon, maybe picking up a Canon R7. But I just don't really need to. I mean, this has more than enough for me. But the only actual real, I guess the real reason I would add another camera is to have a second angle. But I don't need something this spec'd out. And I mean, the S5 Mark II X would be really cool for the SSD recording. That is one thing that I think would be really beneficial. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys are shooting with. Do you guys shoot on Lumix cameras? What do you think about this firmware update? And what do you think of the future of Lumix cameras going into 2025? Do you guys think that they are well overdue for an upgrade in the full frame ecosystem? I certainly do. Even if I'm not necessarily going to be getting a new camera this year, I definitely think they're behind the big three, Nikon, Sony, and Canon. But, the business model as well clearly indicates that they're going to support their cameras long after their release. So, there's trade-offs to, whatever brand you go with, I guess. So yeah, I know I was a little late to the party with this firmware update, but I wanted to share that with everybody that watches this channel. Now, I did also want to mention something while I'm shooting this video as well. I know times are a little tough at the moment. I hear a lot of people, are struggling, or maybe they're on a really tight budget. I know I've had to cut back in certain areas too recently. And I gotta say, if you are looking or shopping around, I know it's easy to get caught up in this tech space on YouTube just because, I don't know, for some of us, cameras are really cool. I don't know, it's just the technology, they're fun to use. But if you are looking at buying a new camera for 2025, I would strongly recommend looking at the used market, because like I said, I've had the S5 Mark II for 2 years now, and it's gone down in price. You can probably score one for $1,400. Now that's still very pricey for a depreciating asset, or I don't even know if I'd qualify it as an asset, but you know, if it's something you really, really want, you've been saving up for a while, or you shoot a lot of video, I mean, it's an incredible camera. It shoots 6K open gate, unlimited recording, dual SD cards, cooling fan. You don't have to worry about overheating. Great video assist tools, all that jazz. It's incredible. Now, it doesn't have some of the features like the S5 Mark II X has, like the SSD recording, the internal ProRes. I believe the S5II also has a wireless live streaming feature too, which is pretty cool. You know, if these features, if you're looking to just starting to create content too, and you don't care that much about the camera, but you want to get something decent, you should really look at the used market today, because there are a lot of cameras that are pretty discounted in price. Like, I actually recently saw the Canon R7, and I know that's an APS-C camera, but APS-C cameras are great. Canon R7 shoots 4K 60, and it's a 32 megapixel camera. I've been seeing those go used on eBay for like $800-900. I was even considering maybe getting one instead of picking up another full frame camera, just because, like I said, I would like to maybe get another one for a second angle in these kind of talking head scenarios, but it's not necessary for me. That's really the only reason that I would get another camera at this point. Like, I think of, you know, whatever the future Panasonic camera, or LUMIX camera, I should say, has in terms of features, like this potential S1R Mark II. I'm not going to need some of those features. I'm definitely going to watch all the videos that come out when it drops. And this is overkill for what I need personally. But, you know, it would be cool to have another second camera, maybe even getting a used GH5 or maybe a GH6, or waiting for the GH7 to come down in price in another year. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. I also want to see what happens on the market. You know, if there's any cameras that do come out that really catch my eye. But I just, at this stage, I just really feel like it's a waste to purchase a brand new camera when there's so many used cameras on the market today, just because of the amount of people that have purchased the latest and greatest gear. You can get some high quality cameras at a really discounted price if you look in the right places. So, like, if you don't really care about 4K, I would definitely recommend looking at something like maybe a Canon EOS R. I think that's probably one of the best cameras for YouTube, because it does full HD. You don't need 4K for YouTube, but you can, you know, have great autofocus on that camera and do some really amazing things. You know, I know it's 8-bit. I think it's 10-bit in certain modes. I could be wrong about that. And I know that's an older camera, but like, even cameras from 5 or 6 years ago are good. So I know I'm kind of all over the place. Like I said, I am really happy that they rolled out this firmware update, but I just wanted to throw that out there because, anyway, I don't know what I was just saying there, but I really appreciate you guys checking out this channel. I do want to know what you guys are shooting with. And as always, thanks for checking this out. Peace.